Hello everyone, I am Rupam, founder of Aculi Labs. Today I am coming before you to discuss a very serious issue that we are facing today. Doctor bashing and demonizing the doctors have become a fashion in India. Even 10th grade film actors find it quite fascinating to come to national television taking crores of rupees to teach ethics to the doctors. Well, doctors are the most talented students of their lot who spends about 20 years studying, reading, harnessing and mastering the art of medical science. We do not allow our drivers to drive for more than 12 hours. The doctors, many a times in many hospitals, housing doctors, 48 hours continuous duty, more than twice a week. At the age of 27-28, when most of us, we have a family, we have a settled life, we are getting all the facilities, going out, chilling out in our life, the doctor is preparing for his PG, studying, reading and trying to master the art. You know, India has become such a joke that an assistant librarian gets about 45,000 rupees, a government assistant librarian. How much does a PG doctor get? He gets roughly about 60,000 rupees. That too, when the doctors are posted for mandatory rural posting, many a times the hospitals are mostly new hospitals without any facilities, without even the facilities of ultrasound. And the 60,000 salary that government gives them, that's also not regular. 4 months, 5 months, you know. What's more interesting is that they're not even allowed to practice before this. So you won't give any salary to the doctors regularly. You'd put them under tremendous pressure, 48 hours, 72 hours continuous duty. And you wouldn't even permit them to earn their livelihood by practicing. Well done, guys. Now, since our independence, our government, subsequent governments, have failed us, the citizens of this country, tremendously as far as healthcare is concerned. So much so that we literally lag behind countries like Nigeria. On paper, we see only 4% budgetary allotment for healthcare, which I'm sure, you know, when it comes to reality, that should come down to much less than something like 1 or 2%. Now, because they have subsequently failed us to provide, you know, great healthcare services, they have found a great scapegoat, and that's our doctors. The politician find it extremely important to come out and give statement against the doctors without knowing the amount of damage they are doing, just to gain some brownie political points. So much so that doctor bashing has been made a habit in this country. In 2017, in a Durga Puja in Kolkata, a doctor was depicted as Mahishasur. Really? I mean, seriously? Be it media, be it politician, be it our film stars, It has become quite a fancy trend to give statement against our doctors, to demonize them, to beat them, assault them. How many doctors today who are passing out considers India to be their first priority? Very few. I can tell you that, very few. And how many practicing doctors today advise their own children to become doctors? Very few. I can guarantee you that, very few. See, we have made doctor bashing such a trend that when it comes to over duty, because they have to, as there are not enough doctors, when it comes to over duty, nobody complains. But when it comes to payment, everybody reminds them of their social service, noble profession, and their selfless service, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So a doctor has to provide you selfless service, leaving his fees that he needs to run his family. The people who earns crores of rupees, the media stars, they can run down people on footpath and in front of media, can pay some money and claim to be doing social service. Isn't it fair? Because you know why? You know why? Because at a time when me, you, the politicians and the others are busy gathering news, gaining some brownie points, the doctors, they are indulged into reading. They are doing selfless service. They are mastering the art of medical science. They don't have time. They don't have time to look into the news. They don't even have time to eat. Forget about sleep. I'm pretty sure doctors who are into their PGs or just completed their PG, 3 hours sleep is a blessing for them if they can get it daily. How many times have you gone to a doctor and asked him, "Doctor sir, how are you today? Or how is your family? How is your health?" I'm sure none of you have done. I have not done. Because you see, they are to be like robots. They are to be like God. They are to look into us. They're not human. We shouldn't have to consider them, their happiness. A doctor loses his youth in studying. A doctor loses his family. He cannot give time. How many doctors have seen their child grown up? You think it doesn't pain them? And the bashing doesn't stop there, right? We have made it a habit to assault them. We feel pride in assaulting our doctors. According to Indian Medical Association statistics, as much as 75%, hear the number, 75% of the doctors in India are being assaulted sometimes or the other. We are not ashamed of that. We are not ashamed of that because you see, it's fun. It's fun to bash them, demonize them, and even to beat them, assault them. Because they are vulnerable. The time when you, me and the others were busy making our life, they were busy reading and mastering the skills. They are vulnerable. They don't have time to fight back. They don't have that time. They don't have even time to eat. So we find it really, cool to blame them, to beat them. In US, A doctor hardly sees about 60 patients in his OPD, 5 hours, 5 days a week. An Indian doctor starts his day at 7 o'clock in the morning, goes up to 10, 11 in the night. Far beyond that. Few of the dermatologists that I know even sees about 600 patients in the OPD in a day. Can you imagine that number? 600 patients in OPD in a day. I know them. We have no sympathy. We have no empathy. We have no empathy for our doctors. We feel that we are paying money and it's their responsibility, their duty to serve us. If a doctor prescribes tests, the patient comes out and says, the doctor is very greedy. He earns money by unnecessarily prescribing us tests. Well, if he doesn't, the same patient comes out and says, what kind of a doctor is he? How can he know what has happened to me without any tests? Well done, guys. So you need some reason to demonize and blame somebody. You'd drink out, you'd smoke, you'd have the most unhealthy lifestyle of any population in the world. I'll go out and will put the entire blame on the doctors. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Would you allow your driver to drive more than 10 hours? No, you wouldn't. But have you ever complained that a doctor is on 48 hours continuous duty doing surgeries? Still, you expect him to be at his top, at his best, and they're doing that. Those film stars who find it quite fascinating to come on national television and bash the doctors, what is their contribution to the society? What is their contribution to the society? Most of the super specialist doctor that I know personally conducts camp on every Sunday. Yeah, he gets only one day to spend with his family for himself. But that one day also, he dedicates for selfless social service. Many a times, doctor gets a lot of medicine samples. They distribute that to their poor patients. I'm witness. They give out that. Would you do that in your profession? If you get some bonus and ex gratia, would you give that? You would not. We will not. Few months back, in Jabalpur, we conducted a study. Dr. Manjri conducted a study amongst 200 doctors. You know, the average stress level of a doctor was found to be literally 55% higher than even a hypertensive patient. Can you imagine that? A doctor is supposed to go out and save patient. And we have turned the society into something where they go out, leave their home and pray to return back safely. Well done, guys. We are doing good as a nation, proud nation. You know why I am making this video today? Because the direction that we are going, I don't think 10 years from now there will be many doctors left in India. Yes. My son is 7 years now. When he grows up, the country would not have any doctors. Why should have? Why should it have? It doesn't deserve. It doesn't deserve the selfless service of the doctors. Who will work in India? Who will work in India? They'll go out. There they're paid well. They're looked after well. They've been given off time. There is enough support for their personal development. In India, they get nothing. Even in that constrained time, they have to study international journals, paying their own money to update themselves, look into the technology that is outside to be updated. What we do for personal development of the doctors, literally nothing. We don't say that there is absolutely no case of medical negligence. Well, there are negligence cases in every field. In every field. Cricket team doesn't lose. You have never failed in your project. You have not made any mistakes. You are ideal. No, right? You're all human beings. You're all human beings. We make mistake. And there are wrong person in every system. You just cannot go out and demonize this entire community. The community who is the most selfless community that I have seen in India, to be very honest. Most selfless community. They don't complain. They don't have time to complain. They don't fight back. They don't hit you back because they don't have time to hit you back. They have no intention to hit you back. Even with this much of backslash, demonizing, they're doing their duties. Not only they're doing their duties, they have created a fascinating field of medical tourism. You say the doctors are taking more money, advising costly tests. You know how many patients today come to India for their treatment? Patients come from US, patients come from Middle East, patients come from every part of the world to get their treatment done in India. It's not only affordable, the Indian doctors, they're much more skilled and human. So what we should be doing? Should we continue our trend, this fascinating trend of demonizing our doctors, and leave our children to a society which is left with no doctors? I don't think you want to do that. I seriously don't think you want to do that. You should recognize the sacrifices, the effort, and the contribution of our doctors in our society. We have least hygiene. We adopt the worst lifestyle. We are not healthy. Look at our young generation. They are spending their time in fast food centers. Do you want to blame doctors for this? How many of you play sports or encourage your children to go to play some sports? You don't. And you want to blame doctors for that? No. I don't think you should do that. Dear friends, I'm making this video to bring the awareness to you. It's not easy. It's not easy to become a doctor. 4.5 years of MBBS. It's completely tough. Then internship. Then preparing for PG. You don't get chance in your favorite branch. Again you take a break. Then you do PG. If you do it from a great college, you can be recruited as SR. But otherwise, JR. They are not permitted to do practice till say when they become 33, 34, 35. Not everybody can become a doctor. It requires tremendous mental strength, sacrifices, and tremendous passion for this domain to become a doctor. You complain them that they take money from pharma companies. We live in a joking country. Here, government doesn't prevent the pharma companies from producing the drugs, but they will stop the doctors from prescribing them. Who controls the drug prices? Doctors don't do that. Government does it. Why don't you take out protest, stand before India Gate or anywhere and request your government to have a better control on the drugs? Why doesn't the drug prices come down and you pay that amount directly to your doctors? You know how much a doctor gets for each surgery when he is in government hospital? The amount is something between 600 rupees to 1000 rupees. Yeah, a doctor takes 600 rupees for a 60,000 rupees surgery. He does that because 1 year of rural service is mandatory for them. They have to serve. Are they the only citizens in India? Nobody else has got any responsibility for India? An engineer doesn't have to do rural service. A lawyer doesn't have to do a rural service. Chartered accountants don't have to do a rural service. Does a politician required to stay in a village for 1 year and serve the people? Is our bureaucrat IAS officer, do they need to stay? Doctors do that. And that's the reason, friends, we should have highest respect for our doctors. When you go to your doctor next time, show some empathy. Respect the fact that the money he is taking is too less, too irrelevant in comparison to the service he is giving to you. Ask him, how are you, sir? Or how are you, madam, today? Is your health good?